If you were a striker in Europe in the late 2000s, and someone asked, who was the toughest opponent you ever faced? The names that would probably come to mind first are legendary defenders. Alessandro Nesta, the Italian Wall; Nemanja Vidic, the Iron Warrior of Manchester United; or John Terry, Chelsea's fearless leader. These were giants of the game, men built to stop attackers in their tracks. But surprisingly, many world-class forwards did not name a defender at all. Instead, they pointed to a midfielder, a relatively small player, barely 1.75 meters tall, lean and wiry, hailing from a distant Asian country not yet known as a football powerhouse. That name was Park Ji-sung. Park did not have Ronaldinho's dazzling flair, nor Cristiano Ronaldo's lightning speed, nor Didier Drogba's imposing physique. Yet, this unassuming midfielder from South Korea became a true nightmare for even the brightest stars of world football. Sir Alex Ferguson once declared that Park was the only player he trusted to shut down Lionel Messi. His teammates called him the man with three lungs, while European fans nicknamed him football's first nuclear-powered engine. The story of Park Ji-sung is not simply about an Asian player making it big in Europe. It is an epic of perseverance, sacrifice, and humility. A midfielder who never shied away from defensive battles, who ran tirelessly up and down the pitch, and who gave every ounce of himself for the team. His journey reads like a dramatic film, beginning in the most unlikely of ways, in days when it seemed that his football dream had already closed forever. To truly understand the greatness of Park Ji-sung, we must travel back to his early years in South Korea. Born into a modest working-class family, Park never stood out physically compared to his peers. Small in stature, skinny, ever rise to the top of world football. But destiny has a way of rewarding. Arrived on a day that seemed to change everything, setting him on a path. They scheduled a warm-up friendly. Their opponent was not a professional club, but simply a university side, Park's team. For most, it was a routine scrimmage. For Park, it was a last chance to prove that his dream of football was still future depended on it. Because in truth, it did. He ran endlessly, the first major turning point of his career. After the dazzling summer of 2002, Park Ji-sung's name was known across Asia. Yet, despite his World Cup heroics, he was still just a young player without a major professional contract. His first step abroad came with Kyoto Purple Sanga in Japan's J-League, more developed than Korea's K-League, and often seen as a springboard for ambitious Asian players. At Kyoto, Park quickly began to make his mark, though still slender and far from their first ever major trophy. Suddenly, he was no longer just a World Cup one-hit wonder. He was a proven performer on club football stage. But destiny had more in store. The man who had guided South Korea to their miracle Eindhoven. Hiddink knew the character of Park better than anyone and decided to bring him, along with fellow Korean Lee Young-pyo. Move, however, was anything but smooth. Many PSV fans questioned the signing. Why spend so much? Really survive the physicality of the Premier League? Park wasted no time proving the doubters wrong. From his first training sessions, his teammates realized he was different. Paul Scholes once admitted, "Park was the toughest opponent in training. He wouldn't let me turn, wouldn't let me shoot. Whenever I saw him marking me, I knew it would be a flashy dribbling or long-range shooting, but relentless stamina and discipline." Park could run for 90 minutes at full throttle, pressing, tackling, and covering every blade of grass. Fans nicknamed him the three-lunged Park, while journalists across Europe called him football's first nuclear-powered engine. Memorable moments: 2008, Champions League semi-final versus Barcelona. Sir Alex assigned Park the near-impossible task of marking Lionel Messi. Yet Park stuck to Messi like a shadow, neutralizing the Argentine prodigy and helping United advance to the final. Ferguson later said Park was the only player he trusted to stop Messi. 2009 Champions League semi-final versus Arsenal. At the Emirates Stadium, Park scored the opening goal, becoming the first Asian player to score in a Champions League semi-final. That strike was part of what many pundits called one of the greatest counterattacks in football history. Premier League classics. Time and again, Park was trusted in big matches against Chelsea, Arsenal, and Liverpool, even when not on the score sheet. His energy and tactical intelligence tilted the balance in United's favor. Glory and heartbreak success, however, came with its share of pain. In 2008, Park had been instrumental in United's journey to the Champions League final. But on the biggest night in Moscow, he was shockingly left out of the matchday squad. United lifted the trophy, yet Park sat in the stand, and his biggest regret. Park, ever humble, simply said, "The team won. That's what matters." In 2009, Park returned to the final, this time as a starter, and became the first Asian player to play in a Champions League final. Though United lost to Barcelona, it was a historic milestone. 2 years later at Wembley, history repeated itself, with United once again falling to Barcelona. Ferguson later admitted he should have unleashed Park to man-mark Messi from the start. The unsung hero. Inside the dressing room, Park was quiet and humble. He didn't seek the spotlight, didn't crave headlines. Yet, when the stakes were highest, Sir Alex always turned to him. Rio Ferdinand once joked, "If Andrea Pirlo went to sleep dreaming about football, he'd probably see Park Ji-sung still marking him in his bed." The silverware. Trophies, including 4 Premier League titles and 1. He may not have scored the most goals or dazzled with tricks, but Park Ji-sung embodied what Ferguson valued most: sacrifice for the team, intelligence on the pitch, and a willpower that never broke. In a team filled with stars like Ronaldo, Rooney, and Scholes, Park carved out his place as the ultimate team player, the quiet warrior who never stopped running. At Manchester United, Park Ji-sung reached the peak of world football. From the boy once rejected in Korea, he had become a champion of Europe and a global icon. Yet, even at his peak, challenges still lay ahead. Injuries and time would soon test his resolve once more. After years of glory at Manchester United, Park Ji-sung's body began to betray him. Persistent knee problems and recurring injuries slowly eroded the stamina that had once made him legendary. The 3 lungs could no longer power him through 90 relentless minutes. From being a regular starter in crucial games, Park gradually found himself spending more time on the bench. The cruelest blows came on the grandest stages. In 2008, despite playing a vital role in United's run to the Champions League final, Park was omitted from the squad in Moscow. Though the team triumphed, lifting the trophy after a dramatic shootout against Chelsea, Park watched from the stands. For him, it was a bittersweet night. Years later, Sir Alex Ferguson admitted, "Leaving Park out of the final was the biggest regret of my career." In 2009, Park earned his redemption, starting in the Champions League final against Barcelona. It was a historic moment. He became the first Asian player to feature in the tournament's ultimate match. But United were outclassed, losing 2-0. 2 years later at Wembley, history repeated itself. United once again faced Barcelona and once again fell. Ferguson later confessed, "At halftime, I should have put Park on Messi. That was my mistake." Despite his tireless spirit, the years of physical strain had taken their toll. Park still gave everything when called upon, but the sharpness had faded. By his early 30s, the man who once seemed to run forever was battling his own limits. It was the beginning of the end. Not because Park's heart had grown weary, but because his body could no longer keep pace with his unyielding will. The curtain was slowly drawing on an extraordinary career. In 2012, after years of loyal service, Park Ji-sung left Manchester United. He joined Queen's Park Rangers, QPR, and was immediately handed the captain's armband, a sign of the respect his character commanded. Yet, fate was unkind. QPR endured a disastrous season, managing only 4 wins and suffering relegation. Despite Park's leadership, the team's collapse was something even his relentless energy could not prevent. Following that setback, Park returned to PSV Eindhoven on loan. But at 33, his knees were failing him. The pain was constant, and every match became a battle not against opponents, but against his own body. In 2014, Park announced his retirement. For fans around the world, it was the end of an era. Looking back, his career glittered with achievements. 19 trophies, including 4 Premier League titles and a Champions League medal. 3 Champions League finals, a record for any Asian player. A defining goal at the 2002 World Cup that carried South Korea into the round of 16, sparking the nation's historic run to the semifinals. But Park's greatest legacy went beyond numbers. He changed the way the world viewed Asian players. He was not a superstar of tricks and glamour, but a symbol of persistence, humility, and sacrifice. Teammates admired his tireless dedication. Opponents respected his discipline, and fans adored his selfless spirit. When Park Ji-sung retired, football didn't just lose a player, it lost a symbol, proof that even a small, overlooked boy from Asia could rise, through sheer willpower and endless work, to conquer the grandest stages of world football. His story remains a timeless inspiration, not only for Asian players, but for anyone who dares to dream.